Hello and welcome to this episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here to discuss and deliberate, as always, issues concerning Goa and Goans. We are here today on a matter which is significant, serious and alarming. Without raising the alarm bells beyond a certain point, one needs to place on record right now that there is a fair degree of trepidation, angst and palpitation amongst people of South Goa at this sudden announcement by the organizers of the EDM festival Sunburn that they have suddenly found a home in South Goa where they have planned to have their 2 or 3 day festival in December, the annual EDM event, which has by and large been held in Vagator between 2007 to 2015, after which I think it went to Pune for a one year and again came back. Yeah, I think it was 7 to 15, and in 2016 it went to Pune and then again came back in 2019 in Vagator. The point here is that as far as Sunburn is concerned, it's a festival which may be having various altruistic and entertainment motives, and there are a large number of people who come there and seek that kind of an entertainment. But the people of Goa by and large have objected to it primarily because in the manner in which it is conducted, the resulted traffic jams and other problems that happen, and this whole spectre of drugs that seems to be associated in and around the festival. Sunburn has vehemently said we are a no drug festival and all these allegations are completely wrong, but the fact remains that during the pendency or during the period when this festival has been held, there have been deaths which are suspiciously drug related deaths that have happened to people who were participants or who attended the festival, albeit not all the deaths have happened inside I think there was just one where the person collapsed and was later found dead. But the point here is that these are so many of these red flags that are there. All this while, it was held in one portion in Vagator. It was held there for many years, good, bad, ugly, whatever. That became kind of a home for Sunburn. However, when you suddenly decide and that we are doing it in South Goa, and then the government also is acting as if this has come to them as a surprise. The Chief Minister says that an application has been received and they are considering it. The tourism Minister says that he is still to await application. So there's a bit of a cloud around the whole situation. The point here is that people in South Goa are saying, why are you bringing this to us? Do we need it? Do we need this kind of tourism? Do we want these kind of footfalls? And does tourism have to happen through this route only? They say that let one part of Goa, which is pristine, serene, has a different way of life, different pace of life, be kept away and be bereft of this kind of entertainment. So obviously, this is the matter has raised a lot of heat and dust, and there were people from South Goa who wanted to speak, people from North Goa who had a point of view. And overall, I think we need to figure out whether the strategy of getting footfalls, getting tourists to come in, is this in line with what people in Goa want, and do people of Goa, the stakeholders, been taken into confidence when something like this happens? I think these are issues and more that we will discuss. I very honored and privileged to have an excellent panel of stakeholders and experts who have understood this, who know this, and can articulate facts and feelings adequately. On my extreme right is Tulio de Souza, the Vice President of the GPCC, and of course understands these issues very well. He lives in and around the area where Sunburn always used to happen. Anthony De Silva is an activist, and from Veli and other parts of South Goa has been in the forefront of many people's issues and fights tirelessly for all issues concerning Goa. Advocate Radharao Gracias again needs no introduction, but is a strong voice and feels very, very strongly on this issue, and he will of course lend his voice on this. On the extreme left we welcome a new guest but very important, Michael Mendonça. He is from the Gaunkar of the Anjuna Comunidad and has very closely looked at the issues concerning the village and its relationship with this festival. I will first start with Tulio, and if you can just in your opening remarks first state that what is the genesis of this sudden anger amongst people, especially in South Goa.
See, I would like to thank you first of all for calling me to articulate some of my views on this matter, and the views that generally Goans are holding very strongly. Let me put forward these few statements that probably would be appreciated by your viewers in the context of Sunburn coming to Goa for quite some time now, and as you rightly said, they moved away and they came back. The fact that they moved away from Goa and came back means they were not welcome at another place also, as I infer it. Now leave that or be that as it may, let us come to the Sunburn by itself. Sunburn has had a number of its editions happening in North Goa from I think 2008 or 9 or
7 to 15.
Yeah, 9. I remember from 9 onwards, and from places like Kandoli, they had migrated to Anjuna. Now, in most of these editions of Sunburn, there have been some traumatic cases of even death due to perceived drug overdose, substance overdose, or whatever it was diagnosed as, and these matters were never brought to light by the police department. The police department claims that they are on the back of the illegal drugs trafficking, but when actually these type of events probably bring this drug trafficking to the fore, the police department doesn't seem to be doing enough to bring a check or do away with drugs that are associated with this event. Now, the organizers per se by themselves have left a lot of issues. This is like drugs and Goans and all the other issues that come up with it. But the other matter is the organizers themselves, I'll tell you. At one instance, there was a private individual who had to go to the Honorable High Court to force and get the direction from the Honorable Court to pay the dues that they owed the government in terms of the licensing and the procedure that they had entered into. So they come, they hold an event, they get all their permissions, and they have not paid the government dues. And there is on record a court case in the High Court where the courts have directed the government before issuing fresh permissions to recover those dues.
Correct.
As far as the recent case it is, and my co-panelists will throw more light on that. The Anjuna, in a similar matter, they had not paid them. They paid them very less, and they had to go to knock the doors of the court to get some more. I will elaborate on more action. This is the total lack of transparency, and that is why they have never built a repo of this festival to Goa. Because I don't want to first only knock them down from the root, but I let them first let the people of Goa understand what is the type of repo that they have built in Goa.
Anthony Bab, why are people of South Goa so angry?
Basically, I am trying to be the voice of the common people whom I have heard from the ground. There is total voice. Amka Sunburn festival मुळ्ळेले आमका सावताक नाका. There is a single sentence I always maintain. It is just no. Now, why? Why? The question comes. The major issue is it is not a question of 2 or 3 days Sunburn festival. We are looking at. We are looking at the follow up later on. What is going to fall out? There will be lot of repercussions of this which is happening. It is not that a child, like for example, they have mentioned in their website, they will allow only 18 plus years children inside. What is the mechanism? What is the checks and balances they are going to use to see that there are no children below 18 years? Number one. Because even the minister, the MLA from the ruling himself said, it cannot be controlled because the number of people he is saying is around 70,000 people and it is not possible to check every person who enters there.
Correct.
So the fallout, we are concerned about not the event. We are concerned about what is going to fall out after the event. once the child or the person gets one dose of these drugs or whatever the case could be, it could be rape, murders, anything, this will continue for another 30-40 years. By the time Goa will be totally finished. So we will not see the destruction of Goa today, but we are looking beyond 31st. It is not 28, 29, 30. Sorry. The question is not the festival itself. The question is what is going to fall out from that festival. We are against that. Number one. For that example, in simple terms, I will say the bombardment of Nagasaki or Hiroshima might have taken only 5 minutes. But look at the repercussion and look at the fallout that they are facing till today. This is worse than an atom bomb.
And then I'll just ask you a counter, because there's nobody else to counter, so I'll play the role of devil's advocate from time to time. My point is, if you look at from Sunburn's point of view, what they might turn around and say, look, we are doing a festival. We are getting the best artists, we are getting the best DJs, because of which so many tourists are going to come. In those 3 days, there's going to be good, clean music. All this talk about drugs and other things is external noise. We are not concerned about it. We will do the festival and go back. And all these things about drug injection and other things, these are just stories which are outside the premises of Sunburn. What do you say to this? Because that's going to be the difference.
See, anytime whatever projections we are going to do, it is usually based scientifically on the data that has been collected of the past.
Right.
What is the past history of this idiom? So the past is already very bad. As my colleague have already mentioned, there are so many issues that are still pending. And as it is very conveniently the Sarkar and some of the MLAs, they are as they behave as if there is nothing going to happen.
Right.
There is a lot going to happen. It is just simply we know we don't want this. Let our villages in South Goa at least remain as much virgin as they are.
Okay. Rather, the issue is whenever you hear certain words of certain events, there is immediately a recoil. Okay. Now, the issue is there are many people in South Goa also who are recoiling at the name of Sunburn, who may not even know what Sunburn is. But when you hear this, there is an absolute recoil. Now, the other issue is that shouldn't Goa or South Goa for that matter have any international festivals where you have a good crowd coming in, people coming in and so on and so forth? Why is this recall against one festival of this nature? Because, and the recall is genuine, one understands that there is a lot of emotion, anger, but will you pinpoint as to the source and the primary reason why people are so angry when things happen in this manner or when this festival comes?
You see, Sujoy, what happens essentially in a state, we have a government.
Right.
And when a government decides to do anything, say set up a factory or permit a company manufacturing unit or bring in a festival, the first two things needed is, first thing is the government has to check whether it is needed here. Two, what will the implications of it on the local people, and where there are local benefits. First, a study has to be made, and then that study has to be made public, so that the public knows what are the good and ill effects of whatever it is, other festival. Now, 15 years this has been going on. We do not have any study even before or after. Therefore, we as citizens have a right to question them, Baba, why is it brought in? What is in it for us, the people of Goa? So far, we do not know. See, internationally, now in the USA and the UK and Europe, there are laws governing festivals. In India, there are no laws governing EDM at all. And EDM is very different from conventional music. Now, there are reports that the type of music played in EDM, forget the drugs part, that music has psychological effect on young minds. It is a particular type of music, repeated bits, particular bits are causing psychological damage to people. And they are even induced to go to drugs. This is what I read somewhere. Now, that being the case, the duty of the government is first to bring in a law legislation which will identify and verify what are the pitfalls of this festival. We have nothing like that. You are simply allowing a festival without there being a law which would take care in case there is violation of something. Where are the laws? So they come in every time and they bring in this music. Now, you see, if you follow national or international news, every time there is a drug case somewhere, Goa is linked to it. You see Hyderabad, so many fellows from Anjuna itself, I think they were arrested and they are still, I believe, in jail there in connection with some drug trafficking.
Have been released,
they have been released or they have been there for a long time.
That's true.
Now, more recently, some film actor Rajput or someone committed suicide or was killed somewhere in Bombay. There also the lead shows that the drugs came from Goa. See, in big cities like Bombay and Hyderabad, Goa is the conduit of drugs to those places. Normally, it should come from there to here.
But it's working the other way around.
It is working the other way around.
Right, okay.
So, it obviously means that Goa has become a center of drug trade. And I am not in a position to say whether drugs are being taken for that festival. But the general belief is that this is a festival which is meant to distribute drugs and to consume drugs. Now, rightly or wrongly, it is for the government to debunk this thing. No, if people believe this is the position,
correct,
the government has to come out and say, no, do a study and say it is not the case. Otherwise, we will continue to believe it.
Right. Okay. I'll just read out the statement issued by the Travel and Tourism Association of Goa, TTAG, the primary body for to regulate, implement, do policy making with regard to tourism. They are the vision body of sorts.
But why did you not call them here? See, they are.
I'll come to that. I'll come to that. I'll reply to that question also.
I see.
Okay.
They have to come.
So I will first read out a statement issued by Mr. Jack Sukija, who is the president of the TTAG. TTAG says, Sunburn has significantly boosted tourism in Goa, boosting local economy. All over the world, events supplement the tourism economy. As a world-class musical event, we expect Sunburn to do the same in South Goa. This year, Sunburn Goa will undoubtedly place South Goa on the world music map, stimulating business in sectors such as hotels, food and beverages, transport, etc. We expect the festival to be a great event while adhering to all statutory protocols and waste management guidelines. It is important that local stakeholders in South Goa are on board. A quick reaction to this, then I'll go to Michael.
You see, Sujoy, I am rather surprised that Jack Sukija, who is the grandson of the man under whose leadership Goa was saved in the opinion poll, Dr. Jack Sukija. Not only is he the grandson, he is named after him, that he should be supporting a festival which most Goans oppose. But it does appear that Dr. Jack Sukija in heaven has also found another way out for us. You see, we know that Dr. Jack Sukija was brought Dr. Wilfred D'Souza into politics. And I think from somewhere above, he has guided Dr. Wilfred D'Souza's son-in-law here in Tulio D'Souza. So I am glad that we have somehow Dr. Jack Sukija is with us and not with his grandson.
Okay, Michael, on a less humorous note perhaps, but if you could just pinpoint or look at this reaction, because there is a Goa's premier tourism body has literally endorsed the festival.
Thanks, Sujoy. I think so. They have lost the plot. Tourism or the tourists were not brought in by Sunburn. Rather, they have preyed upon a time of the year when a lot of tourists come down to Goa for the festivities. Okay, this issue was raised by me during one of the first meetings at the general body meetings of the Comunidad, wherein I explained to the stakeholders, rather the Gaonkars, that the two times of the year when a lot of our people, our own people, our brothers, our sisters, our children come down to Goa is during one, Ganesh Chaturthi time, and the second is Christmas New Year time. Okay, Christmas New Year time is a time for our cultural events. Okay, it's the Holy Week according to our Catholics. It is a time when we have a lot of lovely dances. This is a showcase time for our culture. And nevertheless, we used to have families, we used to have a lot of people coming down to Goa to enjoy this. I personally feel Percept, or rather Sunburn, has capitalized on this. So to say that they are bringing footfalls to Goa is a no-no. In fact, tourism has gone for a toss because of Sunburn, and I'll explain to you why. The tourism season in Goa is to start in the Anjuna Vagator belt immediately after Ganesh Chaturthi, where all the...
So end of September, roughly.
Roughly. Depending upon what time Chaturthi comes in. And it was predominantly the European tourists that used to come down. They didn't put Goa on the world map. It was George Harrison, the Beatles, who put Goa on the world map. When I was in Scotland, I happened to meet a few musicians who had been over here. One, the bass guitarist of Bread, I met him as well. And coming back to the point of whether it has brought footfalls, it has not brought any footfalls at all. In fact, like what has happened is, when I remember when the first time when they came down to Vagator, what they did was their team went around the whole of Anjuna and Vagator booking rooms. Now bear in mind, at that point of time we didn't have much accommodation.
Right.
Okay. So most of the rooms were booked at a very high premium rate. So what happened was the European tourists who were coming down for Christmas and New Year, they come for a 3 months, 4 months period is to come. We all are aware of that.
Correct.
Okay. Suddenly the people started asking them to vacate the premises during this period of time. Now, what the actual scenario in Goa was at that time was that these tourists used to come down. Christmas, New Year parties are over, which used to be once in a while, of course. Like they used to go after the 7th of Jan to Gokarna.
Right.
And then after the parties over there were over, they used to come back to Goa, maybe after the 15th or so.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, because of this gap in period, these people started making alternative arrangements.
Right.
So the rooms started getting vacant. So on the whole, if they say today that yes, one day before, one day after, if 5 days you get a premium rate, which you don't right now, because the amount of accommodation has increased a lot in this belt.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The government is also losing revenue because the non-Goans who have come down over here, they have bought in a lot of residential apartments and all.
Right.
Okay, and they are leasing it out on Airbnb to these people.
Right.
So how are we gaining from it?
Right. 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 Okay, I'll just come back to you because we have more questions on your experience of Sunburn in North Goa, what happened, the battles that the Comunidad has faced. I'll just come to all of that. Tulio, I'll just toss the ball back in your corner. Now let us look at the engagement that the government has been having both with Sunburn and with the people of Goa, right? When this announcement, like when this news broke, maybe about a week ago or 10 days ago, when all hell broke loose, as it were, the government took a stand where they seem to be saying that, look, it's a private event, don't involve us at this point of time. When the matter comes to us and when permissions are needed, we will look into it at that point of time. They also gave signals. For instance, the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, though it's not a government organization, there was a little bit of endorsement from their side. TTEG's endorsement has already been there with the disclaimer that yes, substance abuse needs to be checked and so on and so forth. Now, the point here is that irrespective of public opposition, Sunburn does happen every year. Licenses are always given at the last moment. Different ministers, in spite of everything else, it gets cleared. Except, 1 year when they went to Pune is a different issue, but nothing happens. So the issue here is that the point is that a lot of people are saying that there seems to be some kind of a special affinity between the government and the festival.
Okay, give me some time. I'll give you the facts and the data of the matter.
Yes.
As far as the government is concerned, let's take the pure statistics of what the government earns out of the festival. Government earns through the permissions that are given out. And I told you, a private individual had to go to the Honorable High Court and direct these Sunburn organizers to cough up the money and told the government not to issue further permissions till they had paid off the money. I don't even know whether they have really paid the money. It's because, as Radhabab has said, the government has done nothing to boost the confidence of the people vis-a-vis Sunburn, whether it is deaths that have happened for whatever reason or all other allegations that are very much thick in the public domain. Now, the government's earning revenues through the permissions, nobody knows whether they pay that money or they don't pay. As far as the Comunidad is concerned, they are still crying for the money. The other two things, the control of the drugs. The Narcotics Control Bureau, I understand, was camping over there and they could locate only one person. Whether that is good or bad, I do not know. But that's for them to understand Even if one person is there, that means the seeds of something are happening. And last, on that particular note, the GST officials had camped over there to detect the total leakage of the revenue in terms of the tickets that was sold. I will come to the tickets part a little later. These are facts that are there in the public domain, that the GST officials had raided that place to find and check on the tickets that are, because it's a ticketed event.
Right.
It's not a charity show for sure. Okay. Now that's one part as far as the government, because you asked what the government, why the government is so excited. I do not know why they are so excited, because the revenues that are due to the government are also not coming. Now, on the rebound, if footfalls are increasing, I am very sad that I don't know about the Chamber of Commerce, but you read out a statement of the TTAG and its president that they are all for the festival.
Yes.
But my dear friends in the TTAG, I think they should realize that the symptomatic boost of tourism,
Right.
is good for Goa, or putting together time-bound infrastructure that would see tourism in its proper perspective in the long run.
Right.
Whether because I term that this government should by now have a ministry for event management, because we call them in common parlance event management sarkar, and this one event in the private domain so-called is part of their event management sarkar, nothing more than that.
Right.
Now, as far as the last point, what Michael was bringing out about the footfall, I have got figures there about the footfall, about the foreign tourists and domestic tourists have consistently been boosted. As far as the foreign arrivals, 450,000 from 2012, 492,000, 513,000, and up to 2019 I have figures of 937,000 tourists coming. Yesterday, or I've seen somewhere in the public domain, that our tourist arrivals, foreign tourist arrivals, have dropped to 167,000. Now these are the figures for the people to judge. Please note that what I have read from 12 to 19, you have reaped the benefits of the tourism policy and the type of tourism that was being promoted from 19. He brought out certain other facts about the Beatles and George Harrison, but I say that the government seriously got into the tourism mode from 1983 when the Chogam was held in Goa. Goa was put on the international map. Dr. Willie was, I think, one of the key ministers that oversaw under Mrs. Gandhi the organizing of this Chogam event in Goa, and from that time onwards there was no looking back. In fact, the road from Pukero to Kalangut was the Chogam road which started the tourism, because the South Goa tourism, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was much later. But because tourism actually was that belt between Sikeri and Baga. Now, if government reaped the benefits of this high footfall of tourism from the foreign tourists and likewise the domestic tourists between 2012 and 19, from 83 to 2005, government promoted tourism in a proper way, not by spending 63 crores on foreign jaunts and no results. 63 crores spent and no results. So instead of our friends, and we can lend equal support to them, because TTAG is an important organ of the Goa business community, because tourism is one of the flagships of Goa's industry, and we need to help them out to see that there are proper modes of directing our tourism in a nice way, so that all, from the top tourists to the bottom tourists, from all our stakeholders in the tourism, reap benefits from this.
Anthony Babu, I have the same question to you. Why does the government support Sunburn in this manner?
Before I can answer that, first of all, I condemn the statement made by my friend Jack Sukija, and not only condemn, I am feeling ashamed. And on this note, I would expect Mr. Jack Sukija should have first resigned and made such a statement, which is a destructible statement, where we look upon Dr. Jagdish Shikhar Bab as the savior of Goa, who always fought to protect the Goans and the Goan land. And here is a grandson who's giving a blatant permission, like, to do whatever the government or the authorities in the Sunburn want to do. Now, coming to your point, whether the government benefits in any way, as my colleague has already shown, and Mr. Michael also has shown, overall there is nothing, no much benefit for the government, neither for the Goans. So the only thing which I look as a common person who always have that perception, government chor, government chor. So that perception, when I look at it, looks like lot of underground money is being transferred from one hand to another, and that is what makes these lip services of these MLAs, the ministers themselves. So only in one voice, the question is not whether any organization can generate revenue. As I heard Dr. Radha saying, if revenue is the only thing that you want to look at it, then why not legalize prostitution in every constituency? That will generate more revenue. So the question is not about revenue. The question is about the future of my children. The question is future of my Goa. The question is of peace, loving, serene, beautiful Goa. So that is not, as I said, my main thing I am trying to tell is not the question of the 3 days festival. This festival leaves lot of poison post-festival. That is the question. And if the government is going to tell us those duckling stories that they are going to take care of all this other nonsense, it is impossible, because their past history has never shown any good results. And if they cannot, through the mouth of one of the MLAs of the ruling, Mr. Michael Lobo, that 70,000 people who come in cannot be controlled, how are they going to control the school and the college children who are below 18 years, which they have clearly mentioned that it is only for plus 18 years. So this all is going to destroy my Mankul and Goi, which we are not going to allow. Come what may, they may have n number of techniques and tricks under their sleeves. We are people from South Goa and we are people from Salsette. We will see that this event will not happen even on the 11th hour.
Okay. Radha, just to read out the statement of the Goa Chamber of Commerce. The Sunburn Festival is an international event which has helped to put Goa on the International Music Festival calendar, where a lot of world-renowned artists perform. Goa has definitely benefited from its global appeal, and it has helped tourism in Goa and driven growth across various business sectors such as hotels, guest houses, bars, restaurants, thereby boosting Goa's economy. All over the world, such events help to boost and drive tourism economy. Of course, it has also said that issues with regard to substance abuse and other things need to be controlled, and they've given one kind of a disclaimer there. So you have the Goa Chamber of Commerce and the Tourism and Travel and Tourism Authority of Goa, two fundamental bodies which are backing it. So won't this entire opposition be seen as, say, anti-growth, anti-economy?
See, what happens now, if, as they say, world-renowned musicians come to play for EDM festival, I'm pretty sure Ambani would have hired them for his wedding of the century rather than hiring Justin Bieber and Rihanna. So obviously these people don't have standard at least in the eyes of Ambani. Now, as far as first I'll see, my colleague Tulio has said that we do not know what is the revenue recovered by the government. See, the problem is revenue recovered by the government is not the issue. The issue is revenue received by all those who facilitate this under the table. This everybody knows. So therefore, government revenue is irrelevant. Now, secondly, on the facts and figures of tourist footfalls into Goa, international tourists, let me point out that you see half of these so-called tourists are not tourists. Because today, a huge majority of Goans have obtained Portuguese passports. And every year, at least twice a year, they come down here. And at the immigration, they are shown as foreigners. They aren't coming as tourists. They are our own people. They are coming home So don't confuse them with tourists.
Right.
Actual tourist footfall has gone down substantially. These are not tourists. Now, more importantly, you see, this festival is being held during during Christmas season.
Right.
Now, we all know that Christmas season is the one where maximum number of tourists come here. Life becomes miserable for local people.
Right.
Roads are congested. Everything goes on a huge scale.
Right.
Now, if the government actually wanted to encourage tourism, they should have held this festival, if at all, in the slack season, where tourists don't come. Because at that point of time, hotels would have got bookings. Now you are bringing all of them when hotels are not available. They sit on the streets, sleep on the streets. We have seen what happens. So if at all that was the government intention, push them into April or May. Could have. Not that I am saying I am opposed to that, but that would have been the fair thinking. But see, one can certainly see that the government is least bothered about the people. They, whatever the reasons they have, they'll simply bring in something or not. But before conclude, let me tell you what one BJP fellow told me. And this is what irks me. Tumka ami shikoitole re, tumi udaile ne amka, ami festival atole. This one BJP fellow tell me. See, what is actually happening now is, they want to take revenge on the people of the South because we did not toe their line, because we did not vote for them. And he told me, we have done this so that the people of South know where the power lies. I want to tell the BJP, this is not the first time BJP is doing such tricks. They did it in Manipur. They played one community against the other. They played the tribal people against the Metis. And end result was that hundreds of people were killed, churches were demolished, and India came in the international focus for what you call violation of fundamental rights. And when elections came, the 2 seats which the BJP held in Manipur were lost. And both the Hindus and the Christians of Manipur massively voted against the BJP, and the Congress got the seats. You see, if the BJP tries to play mischief with us because we did not vote for them, I can tell the BJP, all Goans, whether Hindus or Catholics, we are Goans first. And we are united. And when the elections come again, they will face what they faced in Manipur. Let them watch out. People are not going to keep quiet just because you want to threaten us in the South. Whole of Goa will stand up, and we will teach the BJP what politics is. I am pretty sure of that.
On this note, Michael, you have you are of course a Gaunkar of Anjuna, right? Communidad of Anjuna, and also the Gaunkar there, and you've obviously seen this Sunburn festival in very close quarters. Now, recently we kind of did a report and we looked into one issue of the continuous conflicts that the Comunidad seem to be having with the Sunburn organizers. So, if you could just throw a light on that, and what is the nature of this, and where exactly are the Gaunkars mainly upset at what is happening?
Now, when it comes down to Gaunkar, there are 2 components what we look at. The Gaunkars who are staying in the village itself, and the Gaunkars that are brought in from outside to vote on issues. Okay. Now, the Gaunkars on the outside who vote on the issues don't have a clue what's happening in Anjuna. No, they are concerned. They are only concerned probably with their zone, or probably whatever is put into their pockets. Put it that way. Now, with regards to Sunburn, and how does it benefit the people? Now, you tell me, when there are stalls inside which locals cannot afford to run, these are being hired out to outsiders, there's alcohol being served over there. There are after parties happening after, which again the organizers take over. Where do you expect them to spend the money? On top of that, all the roads become one ways. How are the tourists supposed to come inside and get
So, you're
out?
saying it's a festival that isolates itself from the rest?
It does.
Right.
It does. It doesn't benefit the locals at all. Yes, at one point of time when they initially came, like what I told you earlier, is when they booked the rooms, yes, the locals benefited. But in the long run, the figures speak, what Tulio has brought out, the tourism is going down. And today, if they really want to get Sunburn, why 28th, 29th and 30th of December? Why can't they bring it before the 20th of December or after the 15th of Jan? Why are they so adamant to have it only during that time of the year? We are already getting footfalls. Okay, if we really want to boost tourism, and if we have a foresight and a hindsight, we have to understand that, like, if they have to come in a controlled way, paying the right amount of money, what we deserve as the Gaunkars of Anjuna, we don't have an issue. But yes, we have to tackle one of the biggest menaces, drugs, today. And the first people to get affected are the people who are staying in the immediate vicinity.
But how are you linking the festival with drugs?
It's all over. Okay, it's all over. All the panelists have already spoken about this. I don't want to get into the depth of it. Like earlier it was said as well, like one of the MLAs did quote, you had it in your paper. It said very clearly, they don't consume drugs inside, they consume drugs outside. But at the end of it, it shows that it's associated with the festival probably. Okay, it's of course, it's not my business. It's the business of the government to look into it. Yes, but it's going to affect the future of our children. Definitely has to be looked at.
Michael, I'm a little more interested in the cases and the litigation that is going on between the Anjuna Comunidad and the Sunburn organizers with regard to overdue payments. And in fact, both Tulio had also referred to dues not being paid. Radha also referred to. So, what is the nature of that litigation that is going on?
It's already there. It's already there in the news. But yes, let's not go dwell in the past. Yeah. One of the first time.
Broadly, I mean, just
the first time when Sunburn came in, the amount of fees paid to the Comunidad was about 3 lakhs.
Okay.
From 3 to 10, 10 to 15.
Okay.
The year before, they paid about the Goans learned that they were getting shortchanged.
Right.
So they asked for about 70 lakhs or something, 75 lakhs.
Right.
I don't know the exact figure.
Right.
This is the time when we were taken down to the court. Rather, because they didn't pay the sum, so we had to take them down to the court. The court ruled, the High Court ruled in our favor, saying that like the land belongs to the Comunidad and it is up to the general body meeting to decide what is the right amount to be paid. Okay, the balance of the amount of money was supposed to be paid to the Comunidad, but the organizers went down to the Supreme Court. That particular amount of the difference of amount was the Supreme Court asked them to deposit it with the administrator's office. This case is still on in the Supreme Court. But coming back to last year again, last year the Goans decided based upon, well, when the High Court judgment was passed rather, the High Court wanted to know on what grounds that we were asking or commanding this rate. So we brought it down to the notice to the High Court that this was the rate that was going out in that particular area. The Revenue Department had come out with a calculation based upon the ready reckoner rate. Okay, the ready reckoner rate, I don't know how they calculated that, but somehow the Revenue Department always is in favor of not of the Goans but of their own interest, put it that way.
Right.
But we presented, or rather the Goans presented at the general body meeting, that it was the apt rate to be charged based upon that 2.4 CR around figure. That figure was, the Goans came up to that particular figure. Okay. Now, if you also recollect and if you read the papers correctly, the first day of the Sunburn was sans any permission from the
government,
from the Comunidad.
From the Comunidad.
Okay. Because all the other permissions were based upon the permission, based upon the Comunidad permission.
This is which year are you talking about?
I'm talking about last year.
Last year. Right.
Because I will tell you, there are another issue which we have not touched, which actually hits on the basis and the existence of the local citizens, whether it's the senior citizens or all the citizens.
Yeah, raise it.
Is the issue of the decibel level of the.
Yeah, we was coming to that, but good you raised it.
55 decibels is the decibel level that is the maximum permissible limit, and the courts themselves, when the data was submitted by the agencies that are supposed to be monitoring this, have clearly said that they have breached the 55 decibel level, and the High Court in fact quoted the Supreme Court as saying that breaching the sound decibel level is in violation of the Article 21 of the Constitution, which provides some solace to the common citizen. So when a festival is in serious breach of a basic fundamental right of a citizen, where is the government entertaining this type of things? Either the government is not bothered about the local citizens, or they have a much larger agenda to accommodate these people. The permission for the festival, sound permission, was applied on the 27th of December 2023, and they got the permission on the 28th. And even the chief secretary filed an affidavit in the court saying that this was done by the SDM in violation of the rules.
No, these are
I'm telling you.
these are extremely
I'm telling
important
you.
points. See,
no, points means I'm telling you from data available
Correct.
on this matter.
See, the matter.
Where's the question of government
It
now?
is-
About sound you are talked. About drugs, government has not come clear about.
Yeah, I'm coming to
on this.
you.
Will you-
One
yeah.
second, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to
And
you.
so many other issues about the government revenues,
Yeah.
comunidad revenues, and not looking at the comfort level of the local citizens. So I think that the government is on board already to hold the festival, and we are only wasting our time in deliberating this type
So
of
you are
thing.
saying that the government is on board,
Yes.
irrespective of the fact
Because
that
last time also they
that-
told the same thing that they are discussing, and these permissions were given on one day.
Yeah,
And
so
the
I'm coming to
tourism
my-
minister,
Yeah.
I saw a statement of the tourism minister when he was opposing what the leader of the opposition had said against the festival, that he was saying, I only hope that he's not the first one to come to ask for the passes. That means they already have the passes with them.
Right.
So looks like the government is the biggest beneficiary of the passes that are being sold.
I'd like to come on that. Now,
If this was the statement of the tourism
yeah.
minister.
If you see the judgment passed by the NGT on 13th of February 2018,
right.
it clearly says that whenever any such events or festivals are organized, the organizers shall ensure that permission so granted to that effect is widely published and posted on the website at least 15 days in advance.
There you go.
Yeah,
This
so-
itself is a violation.
So
Yeah.
now
And I am
one
telling
minute.
you, 27th of December, the permission was applied, and 28th of December, the permission was granted.
Now, let
That
me
is exactly what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
means all these rules, regulations are just being thrown to air.
Right.
Now, whether it is
That
the
is
Supreme
for
Court
only
or High Court,
for ordinary citizens
Ordinary
like us
Now, let me
to
come-
be scared of.
let me come down to
make this one
another.
thing clear
Okay,
with
Michael,
respect
just one.
to common
Let me finish
people.
his point. We'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying finally all these things are already in a mess. So waiting for the rule of the land makes no sense. That means even if they are not following the High Court order,
Yeah.
that means now we'll have to follow the rule of the people of the land. No.
Right. Yeah, come back. Yeah.
Time and again, we've seen that the permissions have been given a day prior on the day. And last year, the permission was given after the first day.
So on day one there were no permissions.
20th.
No, because the amount of the consideration amount was not paid.
Right.
It was only when one of the Gaunkars went in a writ petition to the High Court that they scampered, and the next morning they came running
You're right.
with
I
a receipt
remember
to the
that.
court.
Yes, I
Now
remember
coming
that.
down to the second violation.
Yeah.
Second violation. What the NGT ruled was the organizers shall maintain all norms observance with respect to noise pollution, regulation control rules 2000 and solid waste management rule 2016. Let me give an example over here. This photographs were clicked on the 14th of Jan this year.
Okay.
Now you are supposed to have a solid waste management in place, mechanism in place.
Right.
So how was garbage burnt in 22 different places on 206/1, which is the Sunburn Hill?
Yeah. This is 22nd of Jan.
This is on the 14th of Jan.
14th of Jan, after the festival.
14th of,
Correct.
With respect to this, we filed a complaint, the event management committee which was formed for events, we filed a complaint with the administrator's office. Okay, here's a complaint. The president of the Comunidad of Anjuna.
Right.
Okay, and the Goa Pollution Control Board. And we asked them to withhold a deposit
That they had paid.
they had given
Right.
as a security deposit.
Right.
But today when I went to the administrator's office, I was told that the amount has been refunded to them.
Sujoy, see what happens now.
Okay.
What happens is, you see, I don't agree with what Michael said. You see, I am here to oppose Sunburn, come what may.
Right.
Now it appears from what he has quoted now that the Gaunkars of Anjuna were only asking for money.
He's
They had
making
no
a
objection.
distinction
No,
between
let
the
me.
Gaunkars and the Comunidad members.
No way. You read that judgment. You see what happens? The whole problem of the Comunidad was the committee of the Comunidad was willing to settle at X rupees. The Gaunkars resolved that it should be 75 lakh rupees or more. So therefore, the Comunidad or the Gaunkars of Anjuna are not per se opposed to the festival. Their only grievance was that we are not being given as we should get, or that there is problem with garbage.
Right.
My case is not that. We don't want that in South Goa at all.
At all. Okay.
Now that I am aware that Anjuna Comunidad is willing to have the festival there, subject to payment, let them hold it there.
Yes.
Why transfer it on to us? You see, let me complete.
Yeah,
you see, the whole problem is in Anjuna, I can now see that there isn't much objection by and large. So I am not saying that it should be held there. But if the people and the communities all want it, hold it there. Don't push it on to us.
Right.
Now, before concluding, let me point out.
Yeah.
You see what happens now. These people have been advertising and selling tickets. They have said that they are doing it in Betul. Now, only place where they can hold it in Betul is the land acquired for the so-called Defence Expo, which is now with the IDC. Now, if they are already announcing the venue and the place and the government doesn't know anything about it, it confirms what I have always been saying. This government knows nothing. That other people decide. And they are already acting on it, man. It's a shame for the government to admit they have not given.
Doctor, this is
but the
precisely
government
what
knows.
was done last year.
No.
They
See,
were already selling tickets were being sold on the net. Everybody
But
was
do you really
telling
know
them
the government does not know?
No, see, I am
saying
not.
no,
See,
we don't
when
have
the
any
government says it does not know, I take it at their face value.
Right.
And if they don't know and people are still acting on your land, then what does it show? That this government is incompetent and unfit, no? When they say we are not doing. Now there's a difference also between North Goa and South Goa. You see, North Goa, the government merely gave the permission. They had to organize the place. They had to take the land from the comunidad. Here is a different story altogether. The land is being provided by the government. The land is of the IDC and the permission. So we have a right to call upon the government not to utilize the land acquired for Defence Expo for such a project. Did you acquire it for a Defence Expo? No.
If indeed that is allowed.
No, let me complete further. And I am completing with a request to my long-time friend, Reginald Alesh Lawrence, the chairman of the IDC. See, I have known him for long and we have been good friends. And all these years, Reginald has been fighting with the people of Goa.
Right.
In the last 1-2 years, his politics have changed. I disagree with his politics, no doubt, but we are friends all the same. But I know that Reginald is like us, a Goan who stood up for Goans. I would urge Reginald to straight away reject any application that comes for holding that Sunburn in IDC land.
Right.
And that is what the minimum that the people of Goa expect from Reginald, whatever his politics may be, that apart. Interests of Goa are at hand. Reginald is a Goan, and I would expect Reginald to back the people of Goa at this critical period.
Fair enough. Michael, a quick response to what some of the. I'm coming to you right away.
Radharav has got a very valid point over there, but to say that like we do not oppose Sunburn is completely wrong, and I'll tell you the reason why. In a petition of Trevor Mascarenhas against the state of Goa, if you know the Code of the Comunidad has no provision for leasing out the land or giving out the land for commercial activity, and the court had ruled saying that like where there is no provision as such, the general body meeting can decide it. Okay, now let me come back to what I said earlier.
So the general body decided to give it.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. There are two components I said earlier. The two components are the local people who are staying over there, and the other component are the people who are brought from outside to vote on issues.
Right.
Now these voters who are coming from outside, they do not have knowledge about what is happening in the state of Goa or what is happening in the Anjuna Comunidad. So when these people are brought in to vote, what can the locals do about it when they outnumber?
But the locals cannot vote, or they outnumbered you?
No, they are all Gaonkars.
They are
If you non-Gaonkars can't vote.
Correct.
These are all Gaonkars. Some residents,
Gaonkars who are outside. Yes.
Outside Goa, they are voting on these issues which are pertaining to us. So it's affecting us.
Right.
So if these guys are being brought from outside and the majority wins, like as you see in the general body meeting, what can we do about it? So when the topic came about is the next topic that comes along with that is like, okay, fine. So if our land has to be given under those circumstances, we have to get what is due to us.
Okay.
No, but I have a small counter to you, Michael.
Yeah.
When an application, because I also am involved and I'm a president of a comunidad, and if an application comes, we do not put the application to the general body straight away. The managing committee first takes a stand on that application and what was the stand of the managing committee? There you can't tell me that there were outsiders in the managing committee.
The managing committee themselves have brought these outsiders in for voting on these
No,
issues.
no. But so the managing committee agreed now. I'm
They
taking
compromised.
Dottor's point a little ahead.
The
That
managing committee itself has compromised. The
know.
managing committee is not working in the interest of the Comunidad.
let us rest the issue at that. I don't want to go further because
I heard
because
4.5 lakh square meters of property is there of one of the organizers.
Where?
Wetland.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yes.
Possible.
Okay,
That thing I got
now
also
we are
time
almost
I
run out of time, so we'll do one quick round of 2 minutes. See, the thing is, at the end of the day, it almost seems as if every year the government does something called anger management. They manage the anger of the people right up to the last moment, and like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, they'll block, score about 2 to 3 runs and over, and take it to a stage where they need about 15 to 16 runs and over, give the permissions and do it. So this anger management goes on till the last moment, and then they give permissions at a time when the matter goes out of hand. The issue is, where is the guarantee that anger management will not go on in South Goa also? Like, Anthony Babu will shout, others will scream. Radharao has made some very interesting points. He will take to the streets. But the anger will be managed right up to the last moment, and gates will be opened.
no, I don't put anything beyond the government because I told you just now that the government is the event management sarkar. For them, holding events and wasting of the public exchequer's money has become the way of life.
Right.
63 crores spent on foreign jaunts by tourism in a declining phase of the tourism economy is a matter for all the Goans to think whether the tourism is on the right track or not. And I'm sure that one Sunburn festival cannot change the fortunes of tourism overnight. Because there are proper tourism professionals and the stakeholders of the tourism in Goa in a big way who would throw more light on this, possibly
Right.
being in the business. They would not be able to come up front and speak on the pitfalls that are
we're running out of
plaguing
time.
the
Thank you.
tourism industry.
Thank you, Dhruva. Okay, Anthony Babu, quick.
Basically, there is nothing much to be decided, and the anger management is not going to work up in South Goa, especially in Salset. If they want to test the waters, let them test the waters. But at no cost, this event can be held in South Goa.
Come what may.
Come what may.
Sujoy, I've been an activist for decades.
Yes.
Now, of course, I'm getting older and my health is no longer robust. But I have come out, not only here, even earlier, because I know this is a critical issue for us. And I'm pretty sure that the younger generations of Goans will rise to the occasion as we did when in my youth, stand up and fight, and I'll be with them whenever the issue comes to agitate public.
So anger management will not work.
I mean, let the government do what they want. I would want our people to stand up.
Correct.
If people do stand up, then I think we'll be able to stop it.
What do the right-thinking people of Anjuna and Bagator feel about this, and when will they stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of South Goa on this?
Of course we will. Of course, if it's an evil, we do not want it in the state of Goa, and we'll definitely stand by them.
Okay. On this note, we've run out of time. Of course, we could go on and on, but I think what is important here to capture the palpable reasons for the anger and hurt, and these reasons are multiple, as has been elucidated by all our esteemed panelists. It is not just about permissions. It is not just about how the anger is managed, as I've been speaking repeatedly, but it's also about the transparency that needs to be displayed by the ruling establishment with the people. And if there is, and everybody, and nobody has denied that the local stakeholders cannot be taken on board. Now, if they are serious about taking the local stakeholders on board, then I feel that an immediate instruction should be given to the Sunburn organizers, and they be told that, look, hang on, let us get the viewpoint of local people, let us look at all issues, let there be a public hearing if need be, and then we will take a decision on whether to even entertain applications or not. So that is extremely important, because right now the fundamental source of the anger seems to be that there is this big cloud over what the intentions actually are, and whether time is just being bought to ensure that at some point of time the gates will be open and permissions are going to be given. And I think these are the reasons. And as Michael has very articulately pointed out, he's actually made a distinction. He says, look, the heart of the people may not have been there for the festival, but the local bodies themselves have also, at the end of the day, done deeds which may not be in public interest. And as Radharao and Anthony Babu and even Tulio and others have said, that in South Goa, the unity of the people and the nature of the whole land and its people are such that that local bodies and panchayats and communities are unlikely to support any activity of this nature. On this note, we and Michael, quick word.
A quick sum up of the whole thing is, if they are seriously interested in bringing footfalls to Goa and increasing the tourism numbers, let them bring it before the 20th of December or after the 15th of December.
Yes, well put, and I think it's very important for everybody to get on board, and also the government, the establishment, the bodies that control pollution, mainly the Goa Pollution Control Board, the waste management organizations, NGT rules and regulations, NGT orders, High Court orders, all of this should be put into the cauldron of judgment before a final decision is taken. But in any case, people of South Goa have already announced their verdict. They have said a big no to Sunburn. Thank you, and I thank all the panelists for giving their time, their energy and their voice to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.